All right, let's dive into something pretty deep today, something poetic, the Song of Songs.
Ah.
You've given us quite a stack of sources here. Bible dictionaries,
Oh, wow.
commentaries. We even got some linguistic analysis in here.
Right.
So we're really going beyond surface level with this one.
Yeah, and that's really key with this text because it's so deceptively simple on the surface.
Yeah.
Love poems. But like any good poem, they're layered with symbolism and historical context and, multiple interpretations.
Right.
It's a bit of a treasure hunt for meaning.
I'm intrigued. Consider me intrigued.
Really?
And speaking of treasures, let's just start with the title, Song of Songs. It sounds kind of musical, like the best of the best.
It does, and that's not even just a modern take. The original Hebrew actually uses a grammatical construction similar to, Holy of Holies or King of Kings.
Hmm.
It immediately elevates the text.
Oh, wow.
It's not just an song, it's like the most exquisite, the most profound.
Okay, so we're dealing with some high-level poetry here. But that makes you wonder, are we talking about one epic love story? Or could Song of Songs be more like a collection, like an anthology of different love poems?
That's a great question, and it's one of the big debates around this text, and it kind of pops up right away. And, adding to that mystery, you have no specific character names in the original Hebrew. It's all lover and beloved.
Interesting.
Which makes it even harder to pin down if it's even the same couple the whole time.
So it's like we're reading whispers, we're like looking through a window at stolen glances.
Exactly.
But we can't quite make out all the faces in the crowd.
Yeah.
But there is one name that we do see, Solomon.
Right.
Some of the poems actually mention him directly. So we do get this like sudden shift into the realm of royalty and power and a historical figure that is known for, shall we say, an extensive romantic history.
Right. I mean, Solomon, according to historical records, was not exactly a one-woman kind of guy. He had multiple wives and concubines, which really raises this fascinating question. Could this Song of Songs, this pinnacle of love poetry, actually reflect that variety? Could it be about the spectrum of desire, encompassing lots of different kinds of love experiences?
Okay, so now that's a twist.
Yeah.
So maybe we're not dealing with a straightforward love story here.
Yeah.
It's more complex, more nuanced than that.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It really challenges us to think beyond a simple one-size-fits-all definition of love. And speaking of challenges, one of the lines that really grabbed me is in chapter 1, where the beloved says, "Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is more delightful than wine."
Oh, now that's how you set the scene.
Right.
Talk about passion. But it does make me wonder, was comparing love to wine? I mean, was that a common thing back then? Feels very modern to me, almost cliche.
Yeah, surprisingly, it's not unique to Song of Songs at all.
Yeah.
Ancient Egyptian love poetry actually used very similar imagery, equating love's effect to like being intoxicated.
Yeah.
So it seems this idea of love as a potent, even overwhelming force that's been around for centuries.
It really makes you think about how we express those feelings today.
Yeah.
What's our modern wine metaphor?
Yeah.
Is it saying someone's your drug or your sunshine? I feel like this ancient text is making us reflect on how we talk about love in our own lives.
I think that's a really great point. And, speaking of expression, there's another passage that I thought was really interesting. It's where the beloved describes herself as dark but lovely,
Oh, yeah.
comparing herself to the tents of Kedar. These nomadic tents made of like black goat hair, but also to the beautiful curtains in Solomon's palace.
I love that juxtaposition.
Yeah.
It's like she's embracing her natural beauty, her darker complexion, and saying it's just as stunning as anything in a king's palace.
Right.
I mean, that's a pretty powerful statement,
Yeah.
especially considering, the societal norms of the time.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's this great rabbinic interpretation that says she's like a rough tent on the outside, but with, hidden jewels inside.
Yeah. And it's worth explaining, I think, that rabbinic interpretations come from Jewish scholars, rabbis, who have been, analyzing and debating the meaning of biblical texts for centuries and centuries.
Okay.
And their insights offer such a unique lens through which to understand passages like this.
Right.
And what they're really highlighting here is that true beauty goes beyond just, outward appearances. It's about inner strength. It's about character, the things that make someone truly radiant.
So it's like, saying someone's a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of rough, there's that whole vineyard metaphor that kind of runs through the text.
Yes.
Literally, it's referring to her sunburned skin from working outdoors, but I'm guessing there's something more to it than that.
Right. The vineyard becomes a symbol. Some scholars see it as representing her own beauty, perhaps neglected because of her work, or even her heart, vulnerable, in need of care. It's like she's saying, look at the toll this is taking on me, both physically and emotionally.
Yeah, it's kind of like that saying, you are what you eat, but applied to love and attention. If you're not tending to your own needs, it
Yeah,
shows.
yes.
Speaking of things that need tending to, there's that line about little foxes that ruin the vineyards.
Ah, yes, the foxes. Now, we have to remember that in the ancient world, foxes were seen as like destructive pests
No,
that get into the vineyards and just wreak havoc, spoiling the grapes.
so not exactly the cute, clever creatures we imagine today.
No, not at all. And that's why it works so well as a metaphor.
Right.
They really represent those small but significant problems that can sneak into a relationship and, cause damage. Think of it like this. You've got this beautiful, flourishing vineyard, which is your love, and these pesky little foxes, representing things like miscommunication, jealousy, or even just life's everyday stresses, just come in and start nibbling away at the vines.
Okay, so I see where you're going with this.
Mm.
It's not just about grand gestures or epic declarations of love. It's about paying attention to those little things.
Yeah.
Those foxes that can just creep in and threaten to spoil what you've built.
Exactly.
That's a great reminder that even the strongest love needs nurturing and protection.
Yes, it does. And that kind of brings us to another image that I think is really rich with symbolism, the banquet scene.
Okay.
We see the beloved being led into a banquet hall surrounded by all this abundance and celebration.
Ooh, a feast for the senses.
Right.
I'm imagining like something out of a movie, long tables just laden with delicious food, music, laughter, but I'm guessing we're not just talking about a literal party here.
Right. There are a couple of ways to interpret the scene. Some scholars believe that it does represent a literal feast, a celebration of love and union,
Okay.
but others see it as more of a metaphor for the overwhelming feeling of being in love. It's like saying love itself is a banquet, a feast for the soul.
Right.
And to make it even more lavish, you've got descriptions of specific treats like raisin cakes, apples, which were considered quite luxurious back then.
That's like saying, I'll shower you with the finest chocolates and champagne. It's a gesture that you really cherish and adore someone.
Mm.
And speaking of cherishing someone, there's that incredibly powerful line that always gives me chills. Many waters cannot quench love. Rivers cannot sweep it away.
That line, I think, just really speaks to the sheer force of love, its ability to withstand any obstacle. It's like saying love is an unstoppable force, this raging river that can't be dammed.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a punchline to this metaphor, too. The text goes on to say that even if someone offered all their possessions in exchange for love,
Oh,
they'd be laughed at.
really?
It's priceless, untradeable.
So love is more valuable than any material wealth, any worldly possession.
That's what's said.
That's a pretty powerful statement, even by today's standards.
Yes.
But before we get too lost in the grand pronouncements of love, there's a passage that kind of shifts the focus to family. It's where the brothers are talking about their little sister,
Right.
what they're going to do when she's, sought after for marriage.
This is where the text gets really symbolic again. They talk about her as either a wall or a door. If she's a wall, they'll fortify her with silver, implying strength and impenetrability. But if she's a door, they'll bar it with cedar,
Okay.
suggesting the need to protect her, to guard her.
So it's all about safeguarding her virtue, making sure that she's not taken advantage of. It feels very protective,
It does.
almost possessive.
It definitely reflects the societal norms of the time where women's virtue and marriageability were very closely guarded. But there's also this idea of choosing the right partner, someone worthy of her.
Right.
And then the beloved herself chimes in, declaring that she was a wall, with her breasts like towers, and that she found favor in her lover's eyes.
Okay. It's a statement of both strength and desirability.
Yeah, it's like she's saying, I am my own fortress, I'm strong and desirable, and I choose to open myself to love.
Right.
It's like she's not a passive bystander in her own love story. She's an active participant, shaping her destiny. Yes, exactly. It's a really powerful moment of self-affirmation, and it really highlights a key theme that we see throughout the Song of Songs, the celebration of female strength and agency.
Right.
But let's maybe shift gears a little bit and talk about another striking aspect of this text, and that's the abundance of nature imagery.
Yeah.
We've got vineyards, of course, but also pomegranates and lilies and fig trees and cedars. It's like a botanical garden exploded onto the page.
It's true. It's so lush and evocative.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just about pretty scenery, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing all those flowers and trees carry symbolic weight, too.
Oh, absolutely. Each image adds another layer of meaning. Take the pomegranate, for instance.
Okay.
In ancient Near Eastern cultures, it was associated with fertility and abundance.
Okay.
So it kind of hints at this blossoming love between the couple and the potential for a fruitful future.
So it's not just a delicious fruit, it's a symbol of their hopes and dreams for a family, for life together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've got lilies, those classic symbols of purity and beauty. It makes sense that the beloved is often compared to a lily, highlighting her innocence and grace.
Mm.
But what about the cedars and the pines? Those seem a bit more...
Yeah, they don't really scream delicate flower, do they? What kind of symbolism do those trees carry?
Well, think about what those trees represent. Strength, resilience, longevity.
Okay.
They stand tall and endure. They weather storms and the passage of time. In the Bible, they often symbolize things that are meant to last,
Yeah.
like faith or a covenant.
So when those trees are used to describe the lover or their relationship,
Yeah.
it kind of suggests that their love is built to last, like a sturdy cedar that can withstand anything.
You got it. And then there are the animal comparisons, gazelles and turtle doves.
Oh,
Gazelles, with their grace and speed, often represent the exhilaration of new love, that feeling of being swept off your feet. Think of it like that scene in a romantic comedy where the couple is running towards each other in slow motion, hair flowing in the wind, hearts pounding.
okay, I'm getting the
Yeah.
picture. So it's about that initial spark, that rush of excitement and energy that comes with falling head over heels.
Exactly. And then you've got turtle doves, those symbols of fidelity and commitment. They mate for life, which makes them a perfect representation of the kind of lasting bond the lovers in the Song of Songs aspire to.
It's amazing how much meaning is packed into these seemingly simple nature images.
Mhm.
It's like each one is a little window into the lovers' hearts, revealing their hopes, dreams, and deepest desires.
It's not even just the imagery itself, but also how it's used.
Okay.
For instance, there's this passage where the beloved compares herself to a meadow flower from Sharon, a lily from the valleys.
That's interesting. You'd think she'd compare herself to something more exotic, more rare.
Why choose humble wildflowers?
I think it's a deliberate choice to emphasize her natural beauty and her connection to the land.
Yeah.
Remember, she's been working in the vineyards, exposed to the elements.
Right.
So her beauty isn't the polished, aristocratic kind. It's earthy, it's authentic, and it's rooted in nature. It's like she's saying, I'm not trying to be something I'm not.
Yeah.
This is me, flaws and all, and I'm beautiful in my own way.
Exactly. It's a message that resonates so strongly today when we're constantly bombarded with images of perfection on social media and in the media. The Song of Songs reminds us that true beauty lies in embracing our imperfections and celebrating our unique individuality.
It's about being comfortable in your own skin, celebrating your roots, so to speak.
Yeah.
But speaking of things that can make us uncomfortable, there are some passages in the Song of Songs that are quite explicit in their sensuality,
Right.
which has, of course, led to a lot of debate over the centuries.
Yes. Is it allegory or is it erotic debate?
Right.
Some people read it as a purely romantic love poem, a celebration of physical desire and intimacy, while others see it as an allegory for the relationship between God and his people, a spiritual love that transcends the physical realm.
So how do we make sense of these different interpretations? I mean, is there a right way to read it?
Well, I think it's important to remember the cultural context. In ancient Near Eastern cultures, expressions of sexuality and sensuality were often viewed differently than they are today. They weren't necessarily seen as taboo or shameful, but as natural and even sacred parts of human experience.
So we shouldn't judge an ancient text by our modern standards.
Exactly. We need to try to understand it on its own terms within its historical and cultural context. And when we do that, I think we can appreciate the beauty and power of the Song of Songs' sensual language, whether we interpret it literally or allegorically.
It's about appreciating the full spectrum of human experience, recognizing that both physical and spiritual love have their place.
Yeah.
But speaking of boundaries, there are some passages in the Song of Songs that actually caution against rushing into love, urging restraint and respect.
Right. There's that famous refrain, do not arouse or awaken love until it pleases. It suggests that love, especially erotic love, is a powerful force that should be treated with care. It shouldn't be forced or rushed, but allowed to unfold naturally in its own time.
So it's like saying, let love be the guide, not lust or societal pressure.
Exactly. And that leads us to another interesting tension within the text, the push and pull between longing and fulfillment. There are moments where the beloved is yearning for her lover, desperately searching for him, consumed by desire. And then there are moments of ecstatic reunion where their love is consummated and they find complete satisfaction in each other's arms.
It's like a roller coaster of emotions, isn't it?
Yeah.
You feel the ache of separation, the intensity of their longing, and then you experience the joy of their reunion right alongside them.
And that tension, that ebb and flow between desire and fulfillment, is what makes the Song of Songs so relatable. It mirrors the complexities of human relationships, the moments of both yearning and contentment, the constant dance between wanting more and cherishing what we have.
It's a reminder that love isn't always easy or predictable, that it can be messy and unpredictable.
Yeah.
But it's also a celebration of the power of love to overcome obstacles and bring us immense joy and fulfillment.
Yes.
But speaking of obstacles, remember those foxes we talked about earlier?
Right.
Well, they pop up again in a passage where the beloved asks her lover to catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards.
It's such a vivid image, isn't it? It speaks to the fragility of love and the need to actively protect it from harm.
But what exactly are those foxes in this context? What kind of threats are they trying to ward off?
Well, it could be anything that threatens to disrupt their connection, like jealousy or gossip or outside interference. It could even be internal struggles, like self-doubt or fear of commitment.
So it's not just about external threats, but also about those internal battles we all face in relationships.
Exactly. The Song of Songs acknowledges that love isn't always smooth sailing, that it requires effort and vigilance to keep it strong and healthy.
So it's like saying, we need to work together to protect our love, to be mindful of those little things that can chip away at our foundation.
And that collaborative spirit, that sense of shared responsibility, is another key theme in the text. It's not just about one person pursuing the other. It's about two individuals coming together, equally invested in creating a loving and lasting bond.
It's a beautiful picture of partnership and mutual respect. And one of the ways they express that mutual respect is through some of the most extravagant compliments I've ever heard.
Oh, I know.
Seriously, the Song of Songs is like a masterclass in love poetry.
It's true. The lovers delight in praising each other's physical attributes, using metaphors and similes that are both sensual and playful.
It's like when the lover compares the beloved's hair to a flock of goats descending from Mount Gilead at her teeth, to a flock of newly shorn sheep, and her neck to the Tower of David. I mean, those are some pretty creative comparisons.
They certainly are. And remember, these descriptions would have been spoken aloud.
Oh, right.
So there's an element of performance involved, a public declaration of love and appreciation.
It's like they're saying to the world, look how incredible my beloved is. I adore every detail about them.
Right.
And it's not just the beloved who receives these compliments, is it?
No, not at all.
The lover gets his fair share, too.
The beloved compares his lips to lilies dripping with myrrh, his arms to rods of gold set with chrysolite, and his abdomen to polished ivory inlaid with sapphires.
Talk about poetic swooning.
Right.
Wow, it's like they're describing each other as priceless works of art, highlighting every detail with awe and admiration.
Yes.
And I'm noticing a pattern here. Many of the descriptions use imagery of wealth and royalty. We've got gold, silver, ivory, sapphires. It's like they're raiding a treasure chest for metaphors.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
They're basically saying, you are my treasure. You are more precious to me than all the riches in the world.
It's like that saying, you can't put a price on love.
Right.
But it's more than just about material wealth, isn't it?
I think so.
There's a depth to these compliments, a recognition of inner beauty as well.
Absolutely. For instance, there's a line where the beloved describes her lover as dazzling and ruddy. Dazzling suggests an inner radiance, a captivating charisma, and ruddy was often associated with good health and vitality.
So it's like saying, you're not just good looking, you're vibrant, full of life, and your energy lights up a room.
Exactly. The Song of Songs recognizes that true beauty is a combination of inner and outer qualities, a harmony of body and spirit. And that harmony is beautifully expressed in a passage where the beloved compares her lover to balsam trees yielding perfume.
Ah, yes, the intoxicating scent of love.
Right.
I'm guessing balsam was a pretty special fragrance back then.
It was highly prized, used in perfumes and incense.
Okay.
So this comparison evokes a sense of sensual pleasure and luxurious indulgence. It's like saying being with you is like being surrounded by the most exquisite aroma, a sensory delight.
It really is. And then there's that line where the beloved says her lover's mouth is very sweet, adding that he is totally desirable.
It's such a playful and evocative description. It combines the literal sweetness of his kiss with the figurative sweetness of his character,
Right.
hinting at his kindness and gentleness and overall desirability.
Yeah, it's like she's saying, everything about you is irresistible from your words to your touch.
Yep. Right.
But amidst all this passion expression, there's also this deep sense of belonging and possessiveness.
Right. Absolutely. One of the most powerful expressions of this is the line where the beloved says, "My lover is mine, and I am his. He grazes among the lilies." It speaks to that sense of exclusivity, that feeling of being completely intertwined with another person.
It's like saying, we belong to each other. We find our sustenance and fulfillment in each other's presence.
Yes.
And the imagery of grazing among the lilies adds this layer of tranquility and beauty.
Right?
So it's not just about passionate desire. It's about finding peace and contentment in each other's company.
Precisely. And that sense of finding a haven in each other's arms, of creating a paradise together, is another recurring theme we see throughout the Song of Songs.
And there's that beautiful passage where the beloved describes a secluded tryst in the wilderness,
Right.
saying, I delighted and sat down in his shade. I found delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste.
Beautiful.
It's like they've escaped the world and created their own little Eden.
It's a powerful image of finding refuge and satisfaction in each other's presence.
Yeah.
The shade could represent protection and comfort, while the fruit symbolizes the sweetness and nourishment of their love.
It's like saying, with you, I find everything I need. You are my sanctuary, my sustenance, my joy.
Right.
And then there's that line where the beloved says, his banner over me was love.
What a powerful image of surrender and devotion.
Yeah. It's like she's saying, love has conquered my heart and I surrender willingly to its power. It's a beautiful expression of the transformative nature of love.
And that surrender, that willingness to give oneself fully to another is one of the most beautiful and terrifying aspects of love, isn't it?
It is.
It requires vulnerability and trust,
Right.
but it also offers the potential for immense rewards.
It's a risk worth taking, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And the Song of Songs encourages us to embrace that risk, to open ourselves to the transformative power of love, even with all its complexities and challenges.
It's about having the courage to say, I choose you, I choose love, and I'm willing to face whatever comes our way.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, it's like jumping off a cliff together, hoping you both have wings.
Right.
But speaking of taking leaps, there's this passage where the beloved says, I held on to him tightly and would not let him go until I brought him to my mother's house, to the bedroom chamber of the one who conceived me. That's quite a statement.
It is, and it brings in a layer that I don't think we've touched on much. Family. Their love isn't just this isolated thing. She wants to bring it into the fold, have it recognized, celebrated within her family.
So it's not just a whirlwind romance. It's about integration, long-term plans, maybe even meeting the parents.
Exactly.
It makes it feel more real, more grounded somehow.
Yeah, there's a sense of permanence being established, of weaving their love into the tapestry of their lives. But even with that, the Song of Songs doesn't really shy away from anxiety that can come with love. You have that whole section where the beloved is searching for her lover at night, wandering the streets, filled with worry.
It's almost heartbreaking. You really feel that desperation in her voice.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even the most passionate love can be, tinged with fear, with that vulnerability of needing the other person.
Right. Humanizes the experience. Love isn't always smooth, blissful journey. There are moments of darkness, of doubt, those pangs of where are you? Do you still feel the same? That I think we can all relate to.
Yeah. It's like the flip side of that can't eat, can't sleep kind of love.
Yeah.
You're so consumed, but also terrified of losing it.
Right.
But thankfully, the Song of Songs doesn't leave us hanging in despair. She does find her lover. There's that reunion, that relief.
And that makes the reunion all the sweeter, doesn't it? It reminds us that love is worth fighting for, worth weathering those storms of uncertainty. Even when we feel lost or disconnected, there's always hope for finding our way back to each other.
Whew. Talk about an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
But speaking of enduring strength, there's a passage where the beloved describes her lover as like Lebanon choice as its cedars.
Ah, back to those mighty trees again.
Yeah.
It's a perfect comparison, though, because Lebanon was famous for its majestic cedars, symbols of strength, beauty, and resilience.
Okay.
So it's like she's saying, my lover is steadfast, he's reliable, a source of constant support.
It's that feeling of knowing someone has your back, no matter what.
Yeah,
I mean, that kind of security is priceless in a relationship.
it is.
And to add to that sense of awe, there's that line where she compares his appearance to the stars in procession.
That's stunning imagery.
It is.
It really evokes the sense of wonder of being completely captivated by the other person. It's like
Yeah.
saying, "You're so radiant, you take my breath away. You're a force of nature."
It's about seeing that spark in someone, that inner light that shines through.
Right.
But the Song of Songs isn't all grand pronouncements and poetic swooning.
No.
There's also a lot of playful banter, almost teasing, between the lovers and their friends.
Oh, absolutely. Remember that scene where the beloved's friends are grilling her, asking, "How is your beloved better than others?"
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, "We've heard all the hype now, give us the details."
It's that playful jealousy that spill the tea kind of friendship dynamic
Yeah.
that makes the whole story feel more relatable.
I agree. And the way she responds is brilliant.
Mm.
She's coy, a little bit teasing,
Uh-huh.
but she gives them just enough glimpses into her lover's qualities to keep them guessing.
It's like she's saying, our love is special, it's unique,
Yeah.
and I'm going to cherish it even if I don't share all the details with you.
Exactly. It speaks to the importance of privacy and intimacy within a relationship. And the Song of Songs concludes with this powerful contrast that kind of brings all these themes together. The Beloved describes Solomon's vineyard, this vast, profitable enterprise.
Right.
And then her own vineyard, which is small, intimate, and at my disposal alone.
It's like she's saying, sure, Solomon might have wealth and power, but I have something far more precious, a love that is genuine, exclusive, and entirely my own.
It's a powerful statement about choosing a love that is authentic and fulfilling rather than one that is dictated by societal expectations or material gain.
Wow, what an incredible journey through the Song of Songs.
I know, right?
It's amazing how this ancient text can still speak to us today, offering these timeless insights into the complexities and beauty of love.
It's a testament to the enduring power of human connection to our need to love and be loved. And it challenges us to think deeply about what love means in our own lives in all its messy, glorious, multifaceted forms.
So if you're listening, we leave you with this. What does the Song of Songs stir up in YU? What echoes of your own experiences do you hear in its verses? This ancient text is an invitation to explore, to question, and to celebrate the mystery and wonder of love in all its forms.